Verizon is cutting more than 13,000 jobs in what is now its largest single round of layoffs. The company says the cuts amount to nearly 20% of its non-union employee wage costs. As part of the reconstructing, Verizon will also convert 179 company-owned retail stores into franchise operations and shut down one store. The wireless carrier has announced a $20 million fund to help laid-off employees with job searches and skill building in the AI era.
13,000 people and $20 million to help them with job searches and upskilling, whatever that means. But why would a company do this? Why would Verizon lay off 13,000 people instead of just doing forever layoffs like the video I just made yesterday? You can check it out if you want. But the TLDR for forever layoffs is essentially companies fire 49 people or less in order to avoid the WARN Act, which says if you do a mass layoff 50 to 500 people at once, you have to give a 60-day notice or severance. And companies are doing this and still firing the same amount of people overall. They're just doing it via the long game, which still benefits the company's cost restructuring and all that stuff. So why do they make a big deal out of it? Why do they announce it like this? Well, simply put, that's because every time there's a giant layoff announced, there's also a short-term, almost immediate jump in stock price. And this happens almost every time. So as you can see, Verizon announced its layoffs on November 20th. And here we are today, with a short-term stock jump. If I go to 1 day, you can see it more clearly. But essentially, this provides a nice little boost to all of the people who own a bunch of stock in this company. It might not seem like a lot to you or me, but to the people running this company, that's quite a bit. And this is just a cheesy way for companies to keep their value up. Companies also do this with stock buybacks and all of that. And my favorite part about all of these giant layoffs that they announce is all of the excuses that they give. Restructuring, cost cutting, this, and it's all about stock price and the board. Let's just cut to it. And you can see that Verizon actually has a new CEO, Dan Schulman, because the last CEO, Hans Vestberg here, reported 2 consecutive quarters of subscriber losses. So they got a new CEO and dumped a bunch of people to bring that stock back up, at least temporarily. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just continue doing this with forever layoffs right after, because how would you know? I mean, they're not announcing it themselves anywhere. Now, if you're unaware, 13,000 jobs at Verizon is roughly 15% of the company that they've just decided to cut, all for a little stock increase. This article says a spokesperson confirmed that the layoffs announced Thursday account for 20% of the company's management workforce, which isn't unionized. If there's not a message in there. Now, apparently Schulman just became CEO last month, and that Verizon's trajectory was at a critical inflection point. And rather than incremental changes to improve the company, we would just fire 15% of it. For its third quarter in 2025, Verizon still posted a whole bunch of profit, but it lost 7,000 postpaid connections. So instead of investing in the company, improving it, they just decide to, cut the workers. And then eventually they'll probably rehire them back at maybe a lower rate. Oh, and it says shares of Verizon fell just over 1% by Thursday's close. And then you look at Friday's open and shares went up 1.15%. So if you know anything about the stock market, I imagine all you'd have to do was look out for a giant layoff, buy low when it dips a little bit, and then sell high the next day when it inevitably goes back up just a little bit. Now, to the people that have tons of money and can do that, that's tons of money they just made. So since the stock market is generally driven by speculation and announcements and stuff like this, this is all just a play to manipulate stock price. It has nothing to do with anything else. Now you can see the chairman here, the real CEO of the company. Bertoli said Thursday that Schulman is evaluating underlying cost structures and other aspects of the company to ensure its success, aka we'll fire as many people as we have to make the board happy. And we believe that once we have that plan in place, we'll have a good story. Yeah, you will have a good story for the media to keep that stock price nice and, surviving, let's say. The board needed to act, and we acted by taking away 13,000 people's livelihood. But don't worry, we have 20 million in a fund that we told you that we promised, and we're going to use that to help people find jobs and learn AI stuff, right? Huh? How's that sound? I imagine if you're Verizon, all you'd have to do is just make a little subsidiary education company, and then you can just give that 20 million to yourself, but to a different company. And then you get a nice little 20 million business expense. Our current cost structure limits our ability to invest significantly in our customer value proposition. Sorry, employees, you cost too much. They can't invest in the customers anymore, even though the employees run the company. And, it's not about you. It's about the customers, I guess. Originally, they planned to cut 15,000. And now that dropped down to 13,000. Now, this is the fun part. Some of the employees got notified yesterday, and some of them will be informed of their status in the coming weeks. That's the best part of corporate. You don't know where you lie. But we appreciate you until we don't. But thank you. Verizon said the job cuts were not the result of the company's use of AI. Okay. Now, the wireless carrier faces mounting market pressure amid concerns over a shrinking pool of new customers. Why didn't you just keep the Verizon guy? Can you hear me now? I feel like they were doing good back then. But they didn't know what they had. Amazon cut more than 1,800 engineers in record layoffs despite saying it needs to innovate faster. What do you think is going to be doing that innovation faster? So now when we look back at October 28th here, where Amazon announced that they're going to lay off about 14,000 corporate workers as it invests more in AI. So let's go to October 29th and see what happened to the stock. Oh, look at that. Wednesday, October 29th, when these were announced. And then it dips a little bit, and then it goes right back up. Like clockwork, it's like someone hits the inflate button. Every time there's a giant layoff announcement, stock goes down and then back up. Are you starting to see the pattern now? If they don't want their stock to do that, they won't announce one of these giant layoffs. If they just want to cut costs without having any public view or giant stock increase, they'll just quietly fire people, 49 at a time. But as you can see, those stock gains are usually short-lived. And it went right back down. So again, it's just a cheesy attempt to get their stock up for a little bit while they do whatever they're trying to do. And naturally, the reasons they give for the layoffs are some more nonsense. This generation of AI is the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet. And it's enabling companies to innovate much faster than ever before, says Beth, Senior Vice President of People, Experience, and Technology at Amazon. And what happens when AI innovates to the point where there's now an AI Beth Galetti? I guess they haven't thought about that yet because they're so bought in, obviously, as Senior Vice President of People, Experience, and Technology. So is your boss like the executive Senior Vice President? Now for Amazon, cutting 14,000 people is cutting only 4% of its workforce. So I don't know, if you were going to play the stock market and you see a pattern like this, giant layoff announcement, dip, spike, what would you do with that information? Interesting. But anyways, just wanted to clarify the difference between mass layoffs and forever layoffs. And you can see the difference and the purpose and all the BS reasons they give to the public versus the reasons they're actually doing it behind closed doors. Because how will we ever know? We won't. They'll just tell us what sounds good to us or make up some valid sounding reasons. They don't want people anymore. They want AI. Okay, that's how it is. Pesky humans. I'm a big fan of AI if it has its proper use case, if it's helping someone out, but not just to blatantly replace people. It's something to be used as a tool to assist, not replace. And people will find that out very soon. Just like the rise of the job title, Vibe Code Repair Software Engineer will be one of the top positions here pretty soon. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to see me call out more corporate nonsense like this so that you can see the patterns too. And if you have anything you'd like me to showcase on the channel, talk about, you can email me, Instagram, Discord, however you want to do it. Links for all of that are down below. But having said all that, I hope everyone is doing really well, and I'll see you in the next one.